Have you ever wondered what's more successful, running a sale on eBay or running a sale on Poshmark? In this video, I'm going to answer that question, at least from my experience, as I share with you my sales from the first 2 weeks of April. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I am a part-time reseller on platforms like Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari, and today is kind of a milestone. It is the first time in a very long time that I have recorded a what sold video in the same month that we are actually in. So I think this is a slow clap moment. Yes, after doing like 3 months worth of entire month-long what sold videos, we are getting to the home stretch of getting fully caught up, and actually I'm going to sit here and film a few videos, and after that I am for realsies fully caught up. A lot of that is due to the fact that I'm now using my reseller genie, and it does make bookkeeping a lot easier. Before, if you can believe it or not, for like the last 4 years, I had just gotten in the habit of handwriting all of my what sold information, which took a ton of time and was kind of ridiculous. But my reseller genie kind of kills two birds with one stone. I do have like the highest tier version of it, and so every time I make a sale, it automatically puts that sale into my reseller genie. I just have to put in special information into my reseller genie regarding my cost of goods and things of that nature, but it's a pretty simple bookkeeping software to use, and it's allowing me to get through kind of processing all of my information for my what solds faster, which is why I'm able to finally get caught up and get these to you. My God, it feels so good. So we're going to talk in this video, like I said, about the first 2 weeks of April, and believe it or not, I only had sales across 2 platforms. They are the 2 that I honestly put the most effort and energy into, and those 2 platforms are Poshmark and eBay. And not only are we going to talk about these 2 platforms, but we're going to talk about how there was a period towards the end of the days that we'll talk about in this video where I ran sales on both platforms. And I'll talk about what those sales looked like as well as what the results of those sales were. All right, so just off the bat, April 1st and 2nd, no sales. I don't know if it was like a cruel April Fool's joke or something, but just no sales. But on Wednesday, which was April 3rd, on eBay, I sold this vintage new with tags Polo Jeans Co. Ralph Lauren green short sleeve polo shirt in a men's extra large. This was something that I actually did pick up at a local Goodwill. I just thought it was kind of cool. I do really enjoy selling Polo Ralph Lauren or Polo Sport, most things in that Ralph Lauren family. It's a great bread and butter brand for me, both for women and men, but I feel like even more so for men. So this was a men's piece. It sold on eBay for $27.90. That was an offer that I sent out to watchers, which is a good amount for just like a short sleeve, pretty basic polo shirt. But like I said, it was vintage and it was new with tags. And so I had $4.99 into it from that local Goodwill. My net profit on that was $17.98. And then on Thursday, which was April 4th, again, no sales. So this week alone, I had like 3 $0 sales days, which was tough. And I'm not going to lie to you, April was just a rough month for me. And I don't really have excuses. It's not like I went on any trips, or I think I actually tried to like do a good job as a reseller and just still am in the midst of having a pretty rough April, which is why I ran the sales that I did that we'll talk about later in this video. But I don't know, let me know down in the comments if April has been rough for you or if it's just me, if I'm just kind of sucking it up over here by myself, but it's been pretty rough. But on April 5th, which was a Friday, on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Allbirds gray merino wool lace-up mizzle, I think that's the style name, water repellent sneakers in a men's size 14, which is a pretty big size, which is why I was pretty excited to find them. I got them in the summer of 2022 in Seattle at the Goodwill outlet there at the downtown location, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I think is one of the only bins locations that has shoes. At least out of like the 3 or 4 bins locations that I've been to in Seattle, they were the only ones with like a good selection of shoes. The other ones had maybe like 1 or 2 pairs of shoes here or there. Downtown Seattle had like multiple bins of shoes. Talking about the bins so much makes me want to go back. I haven't been since we went on vacation to Denver in October of 23. So a bins trip is long overdue. But these sold for $30 on Poshmark. I did have $2 into them from the bins, and so my net profit on those was $22. Also on the 5th on Poshmark, I sold this Chico's green button-up jacket in a size small. It did have pockets, and man, oh man, was I excited to sell this because I have had this item for so long. If you can believe it, I purchased this while we were in shelter in place during COVID. So think back to how long ago that was. There's a local consignment store. They let me go in and shop by myself in their storage unit so that it was safe for everyone, but so that they could make some money and I could get some inventory. And I just paid by the bag. So my cost of goods per clothing item came out to like 80 cents a piece, which is ridiculous. I don't know that I'll ever have a sourcing opportunity like that again, although it's fine that I don't, given that the only reason I was able to shop like that was because of COVID. I don't ever want to go through a pandemic like that again. I only had 80 cents into that. It did sell with discounted shipping as well because of a Chrome extension that I use called Pasha VA, which will send out offers to likers for me 5 minutes after someone likes an item. And so after discounted shipping, after my cost of goods, after fees, my net profit on that was $11.58. It only took like what, 3-4 years to sell. And I'll be honest with you, I actually have pretty good luck with Chico's. Chico's is a great bread and butter brand for me. And this was exactly the price point at which I would like to pick up Chico's for the most part, is like under $1 if possible. That being said, I do think your best luck when it comes to Chico's pieces, especially if you don't want to hold on to items for a long time, is going with the larger sizes. I find that my larger size Chico items sell much faster and for more money than things that are in a size small. So that's on me. Not that I shouldn't have picked it up, because again, I only had 80 cents into it, but I do think that that's part of the reason why it took so long to sell, and I probably also just had it listed for a little too much. Also on the 5th on eBay, I had a really great sale. It was this pair of Cole Haan Grand OS signature brown leather lace-up ankle boots in a men's size 11.5. Those sold for $47.90, and I had $9.99 into them from a Goodwill near where my mother-in-law used to live. I say used to live because she just moved out to like the Los Angeles area in California, which stings because now she's obviously much further away, but is also kind of nice in that now we have an excuse to go out to LA. We're actually going to go visit her at the beginning of the summer. If you guys know of any places where I should go thrifting or sourcing in LA while I'm there, please let me know. We're kind of just going to go like all over LA since for, I think, my kids for sure, it's their first time ever going. I think the last time my husband went was, I don't even remember, like he said it was a long time ago. And it's been a while for me too. Like I don't think I've gone since high school. So it'll be really fun going to LA with my kids and just kind of exploring. We're doing Disney, we're doing Universal, but also just kind of like hanging out at the beach, going to, you know, Rodeo Drive, doing like the typical touristy things. So if you have any suggestions for like LA stuff at all, please leave them down in the comments below as we are trying to put this trip together. And especially if you know of any good sourcing spots, let me know, because you know I want to source. I think I'm going to bring like a whole empty suitcase that I'm going to check, and I'm very, very excited at the prospect of sourcing in LA. That was such a tangent. I was talking about how my mother-in-law no longer lives in the suburbs of Chicago, but when we would go visit her, I would usually go to a Goodwill or two, and this was something that I picked up while we were visiting her once. So I had $9.99 into them. My net profit on that was $34.76. I have had some really good luck with Cole Haan Grand OS shoes in the last few months, and some stinky luck with like regular Cole Haan. So that just tells me I need to be pickier about which Cole Haan pieces I pick up, especially if I don't want to sit on them forever and ever. And thankfully with these, I did not have to sit on them for a very long time. And then on the 6th of April, which was a Saturday, on eBay, I sold this Talbots Petites turquoise metallic blazer in a women's size 12 petite. It did have pockets in it, and I used keywords like career and office in the listing title. Now, I have had this for so long. I've had this since November 23rd of 2021. That's the day that I purchased this item. That's not necessarily when I listed the item. Sometimes it takes me like even up to a year to list an item, just because sometimes things just kind of get shoved in the back of like an area because it needs to get steamed, or I don't know. So I don't know when this actually got listed, but generally speaking, it still took a really long time to sell. It did sell though for $29, and I had picked it up at a local thrift store for only $3.99. So my net profit on that was $21.30, which I'm super happy with. I just don't love that I've had it listed for quite some time. The next sale was over on Poshmark, and it was this new with tags French Connection black strapless belted zipper dress in a women's size 10. I did put the word party in the title. I also, I think, like mentioned the word Y2K in the description because the dress almost looks like it's denim. You know, it's like a tube dress, it's belted. It was giving Y2K, but this sold for $50 on Poshmark. I had $4.77 into it from a garage sale of a friend of mine who no longer really is reselling contemporary clothing. So when I hit up her garage sale, she'll typically just sell me her pieces at wholesale cost, which just means, you know, how much she picked up those items for. So my net profit on that was $35.23. And I don't really sell a lot of French Connection. I tend to leave the majority of it behind because I feel like it's priced pretty high, but it doesn't usually sell for a ton in the resale market for me, and I tend to sit on it for some time. So that was a pretty great sale in that it sold quickly. I got a really good return for it. I was very happy with that. On April 7th, which was a Sunday, on Poshmark, I sold this vintage Nike Golf red ribbed polo shirt. It had like Nike 18 on the bottom. It was a size extra large tall. It was very long, and I did put the word streetwear in the title because it was very much giving streetwear vibes. This item I picked up at my local Goodwill many years ago. When did I pick it up? I don't have written down when I picked it up. I want to say at least 2021, if not even before that. And I actually picked up a few pieces in the men's section, I remember, that were all kind of like bunched together. And I was like, man, these are all really cool pieces. They were all very kind of like streetwear-ish. I was very excited, thinking I was going to get like $40, $50 for each of these things. And there were some really cool pieces, which I thought this was a really cool piece. It has gotten a fair amount of attention, like a good number of likes and watchers over the years, but man, has it sat, and obviously it hasn't sold until this day. So it sold finally for $25. I had $4.99 into it from that Goodwill, so my net profit was $15.01, which isn't bad, but I've just had it for so long. And I think, again, my ultimate flaw in listing this item was that I just had it listed for too high. And I think that's something that I'm noticing is I just tend to list on the higher end of the market, which is fine if you're willing to sit on things for a while and you're just gonna like wait for that perfect buyer. But lately I've been rethinking how I want to price things. I do think I would rather maybe miss out on a few bucks and move things out faster by pricing things a little bit lower. I'm playing around with it. I'll report back and let you know how things go. The next sale on Poshmark was this pair of Levi's bootcut 515 jeans in a women's size 14. They did have like the back pocket flaps. They were high rise. They had some stretch in them. These are not the kind of Levi's that do well. These are probably the kinds of Levi's you can get at like Macy's and maybe even Kohl's. I don't know. Does Kohl's sell Levi's? I bet they do. There's just so many tiers, I feel like, of Levi's jeans, but these did sell for $15. I got these from a reseller buyout that I did last summer, and so I had $3.85 into them. I would have never picked these up at the thrift store myself, but because they were already in my house from that reseller buyout, I went ahead and listed them. I made $8.15, which I'm cool with. I'm going to use that to buy better inventory and just to continue investing in my reselling business. But, you know, it was easy to photograph, easy to list, easy $8.15. Also on the 7th on eBay, I sold this Eileen Fisher gray linen blend short sleeve button-up crop top in a women's size extra small. It's not like a crop top. It's a top that's cropped, but it's not like a form-fitting crop top. Like Eileen Fisher isn't out there making Brandy Melville type tops for young girls. Like Eileen Fisher is very much making clothes for a more mature woman, not someone who wears crop tops. But it was a cropped top, which is why I had that in my listing title anyway. This item sold for $31. It was part of that same reseller buyout where I got the Levi's bootcut jeans, so I had $3.85 into those as well, and I made a net profit of $23.69. This was pretty dated. It's definitely not something that I think a lot of people are super excited about. Eileen Fisher, however, does sell pretty well, pretty consistently. And most things, even if they're pretty basic, are gonna sell between that like $25 to $35 range, but there are a lot of special pieces as well that will sell for way more. So Eileen Fisher, definitely one of my favorite brands to resell. And then you guys, I had a huge drought. So the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th of April, I sold nothing. And again, I was listing, I don't know. I just was not selling anything. And that's what I mean when I say April has been so extremely rough, like long stretches of time with no sales. And that's when I decided on April 12th, I was like, I gotta do something about this because it was so bad. And so on the 12th, which was a Friday, I was like, okay, let's just try to make some sales happen. So on eBay, what I did was I just ran a sale. If you have an eBay store, you can run promotions, and I'll kind of show you step by step here how I run a promotion on eBay. So here is how I run sales on eBay. I go into marketing. This is from my seller hub. I go into marketing and I go into promotions. They have a couple different options when it comes to how to run eBay sales, but I go over here to create promotion and I'm going to select sale event plus markdown. They do have things where you can send coupons to people who have made purchases in your store before, and that is honestly kind of similar to what Poshmark does with the ability to send messages to people who have interacted with your closet. And this is something that I actually want to try in the near future. If you have success sending coupons on eBay, please let me know. And let me know if you say coupon or coupon. I think I'm a couponer. Anyway, here you can do that. You can offer like order discounts. I typically will do the sale event plus markdown. So if I click on that, the first thing they're going to have you do is choose what kind of discount you want to offer. Remember, if you're super desperate to make sales, the steeper of a discount you can offer, the more items you're probably going to sell. People cannot resist a good deal. I have run sales on eBay even up to like 60% off before. And that's if I'm like individually selecting which items I want to be a part of that sale. I'm not going to have my entire store be 60% off just because there are certain items that I don't want to let go of at that steep of a discount. But typically I will run like a 40% off of my entire store sale. If I'm feeling extremely generous, maybe 50, but you want to sweeten the deal a little bit. You want to make it difficult for potential buyers to look away from your store. So let's say I'm running a 60% off sale. You can also instead choose to, just take a certain amount off of each item. I think that one's a little bit silly for the kind of store that I'm running, but perhaps you just sell, a ton of the same SKU over and over again. And if that's your case, maybe that makes more sense for you. And then finally, if you want to, you can offer free shipping. I never offer free shipping. I don't know why. I'm just very against it. So moving on, I select the items that I want to run on that sale. This is where you would go if you want to hand select, just your stale list listings to run at a 75% off sale. But if I'm going to go ahead and just put my entire store on sale, I will actually go into create rules, and then I will go into category and I will actually just select all inventory. And then I'm going to go into save and review. And finally, what I will do is I will say how long I want the sale to go to. You can also name the sale. You'll name it over here as well. This is what the people will actually see. So here's where you might want to put like 60% off for my birthday or whatever it is that you're doing. This is kind of more so that you can keep track of your sale. And here is where you're going to state how long you want the sale to run for. eBay defaults for a pretty long sale. I typically only run my sale for like a weekend or something like that. But this is where you say what day and what time you want your sale to end. If you want to create like a special image for your sale, you can do that. I typically just go with what it is that they have for me. I am not going to launch this sale because I do not want to offer my entire store at 60% off at this time, but that is how you run a sale on eBay. This particular weekend, I chose to do a 40% off sale, and I will just let everything go on 40% off sale, regardless of how new of a listing it is, how old of a listing it is. Sometimes I'll, handpick just super stale listings and do like 60% off on those items. But this time around, I was like, I'm just going to put my entire store on 40% off sale and see what happens. On the same day on Poshmark, I decided that I would run a Poshmark sale, the best of my ability, in that Poshmark doesn't let you run a sale as easily as eBay does. As you can see on eBay, when you run a sale, people can see how much you charged for the item originally and see what kind of discount they're getting. And I think that incentivizes them to buy your item knowing that it's on sale versus them having to buy it at full price. It's just like a psychological thing. On Poshmark, they don't have that ability yet, which I don't understand. It is the one Poshmark feature that I would love to see more than anything at this point is just the ability to put your entire closet on sale. So instead, what I do is I use the My Shoppers feature. You can see who's been interacting in your closet in different ways, whether it's people who have liked items, people who have bundled items, whatever it may be. And what I do is I just click on all of my shoppers, anyone who has interacted with my closet in any shape or form. And what I do is I send them all a message. I will let them know that I am feeling pretty generous this particular day and that I am offering, however much of a percentage off of every single item in my closet. Sometimes I'll make it a requirement that they bundle 2 or more items because I'm just trying to get out as many pieces as possible. Sometimes I don't care if it's 1 item or 10. I'm just trying to get rid of anything. And on this particular day, I sent out a message saying that I was offering 40% off of everything in my closet. I told them to just bundle whatever it was that they were interested in, let me know that they were done, and I would send them an offer with discounted shipping. And as a result, I made a good number of sales. As you'll see as we talk about the remainder of my sales for these first 2 weeks in April. Before that, it was pretty slow. This kind of gave my closet and my eBay store a kick in the butt a little bit, but I think you're gonna see that this is far more successful on Poshmark than it is on eBay. And I think it's because of that personal touch of reaching out to someone who has already shown interest in your closet and sending them a message. On eBay, you're not necessarily reaching out to anybody who's interacted with your store in the past. You're just putting your items on sale. So that applies to anyone who's coming to visit your store from that point on, from the time that you started your sale. I think it will also let people know who are currently watching items. If your items go on sale, they'll get an alert saying that an item that they're watching has gone down in price. But the only people who are going to know about your sale on eBay are people who organically come to your store, versus on Poshmark, you're kind of letting the world know. I mean, I sent that message out to close to 5,000 people. So that's pretty powerful, direct messaging to 5,000 people. A few comments I will say about that pretty quickly as we get ready to talk about what sold as a result of these sales. I actually shared about running these sales on my Instagram, and I did get a few comments from people along the lines of, you just want to make sure that you use this Poshmark sale method sparingly because it can come across as very spammy and it can get very annoying. And I agree 100%. You don't want to be that person that is sending this message to the same buyers every few days or even every few weeks. I try very hard to limit it to twice a year, if even that. I don't know how many times I did this last year, to be honest with you. Maybe once, maybe not even. I try very hard to reserve it for just oh my gosh, it has been super rough. And when I know I have time to ship out a lot of items, because like I said, I generally tend to move quite a few pieces when I do this. But you don't want to be that person that's doing it too often and just kind of coming across as desperate and annoying. And ultimately, some people will block sellers as a result of getting too many of these kinds of messages. So definitely use it sparingly. And I will say too, I got comments from people in both camps, people who were like, oh my gosh, I just tried this because of you and I've made a ton of sales. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then also messages from people who are like, I tried this and I still move nothing. I will say, I think you're going to find more success if you do this on a Thursday or Friday when people are getting their paychecks. And also you're going to have more success if you offer a pretty steep discount. I'm not going to lie, every time I get one of these messages from someone else, if it's a discount of 40% or higher, I'm most likely going to stop what I'm doing for a second and just check out their closet and see if there's anything that I'm interested in. Anything under 40%, I don't care. It's not big enough for me to drop what I'm doing and go check out your closet. So I would say 40% off, which was what I did for this particular sale, is the bare minimum of what will make people want to actually check out your closet. That's just from my personal experience, and also from my personal experience as a shopper. I'm just not really willing to check out your closet unless you're offering things at 40% off or more. So with all of that being said, let's get into all of the things that sold for me as a result of running these kinds of sales. So on April 12th, which was a Friday, on eBay, I sold this black label by Piccone. Don't know if I'm saying that right. Pink cropped open front blazer in a women's size 8. I did put the word office in the title. This item is the type of thing that you would pick up at a Macy's or something. It's not very exciting. It's not the kind of thing that I would typically pick up for my reselling business, but I got it as part of a reseller buyout from a reseller who had a bunch of clothing inventory that she had acquired before realizing that she actually really hated selling clothes. And so she sold me all of her clothing inventory, and I got everything for about $2 a piece. And so this sold for $13.19. That was part of my 40% off sale. And so my net profit on that blazer was $9.07, which even though that was like somewhat of a newer listing, like I didn't have that listed for too long, I was pretty happy with that because I just wanted to move it. I felt like that was the type of thing that I would have sat on for a long time. I was just happy to get it out of my house. I had more eBay sales this day, but I'll talk about them later. Let's kind of move into some Poshmark sales. The first one being this new with tags 5'4" logo t-shirt in a men's size medium. This is a pretty old listing. I'm not 100% sure where I got it. I kind of want to say I got it from my friend before he moved to Chicago. It may honestly be even older than that, given how short the listing title is. That's kind of how I used to list way back in the day. And by the time I got this stuff from my friend, I knew better. Like I knew to try to use up all 80 of those characters in a listing title. I'm just gonna say though that I had $2 into it. That sold for $7 with this kind of shipping. And I realized after doing this all day that I was kind of an idiot. Basically what I was doing was if anyone liked anything that day, I was just putting it in a bundle and sending them the message. And then like at the end of the day, I was just sending offers even if they hadn't responded back and said that they were done. This person accepted my offer. And what I realized is instead of sending out offers to likers, I should have just dropped the price because it was closet clear out that day. And if I had just dropped the price, then they would have still gotten that sales price that I dropped the price to, but then Poshmark would have paid for discounted shipping instead of me having to cover it myself. The annoying thing about that though is if they end up not buying the item, then you have to go back in and raise the price. So I don't know. It's fine the way that I ended up doing it. I probably could have done that closet clear out method on a few people that I did have direct communication with who were like, yeah, I just want the one item. I'm ready to go. I could have probably dropped the price for them and saved a little bit of money. But that would have been especially helpful with this situation because I ended up losing money on this sale. I'm saying that I lost 93 cents on it. Again, that's assuming that I got it from my friend for $2. I could have actually paid more for it or maybe even less. But some of these items you're going to see I did end up losing money on. I was just trying to get these things out of my house. The next Poshmark sale was actually a bundle, which was really exciting. And what I'll do is instead of telling you about like the entire bundle price, I'll break it down by items. So the first thing to sell in this 3-piece bundle was this dress by Flying Tomato. It had a tropical palm print, it had a v-neck, and it was a surplice maxi dress in a women's size medium. This item, once you factor in like the 40% off discount that I offered, and once I split like the fees and the shipping 3 ways, we're saying that I made a net profit of $17.54 on this one dress. I didn't actually have a cost of goods into this item because this came to me for free from America's Thrift Supply. America's Thrift Supply reached out a couple years ago to see if I would do an unboxing of a micro bale of dresses from them, to which I said yes. Thankfully, they sent it to me for free because this was a rough unboxing. There was a lot of just kind of trash in this box. I'm not going to even sugarcoat it. It was not very good. I was able to list maybe a fifth of the items they sent me. That might be me being kind of generous. A lot of it I donated. A lot of it I sold in a pop-up consignment sale. Most of it was not resellable in my opinion, but this was one of the very few pieces that I did go ahead and list. And I did make a pretty decent sale on that, I would say. Also, a lot of these bundle sales came from viewers. So if you are a viewer and you made a purchase from me, thank you so much. I don't know which items went out to viewers and not, so I'll just thank everyone by name. But Brecklin, if you are a viewer, thank you so much. You are amazing. But the next item to sell in this bundle was this Matilda Jane Between the Lines, that's the style name, blue striped long sleeve dress in a women's size large. That one I picked up from a local consignment store during one of their birthday sales. I had $3.47 into it. So my net profit on that after, fees and all that kind of stuff was $9.07. And I'm saying it sold for $17.33. And then the last thing to sell in this bundle was this pair of Miss Me jeans. Now these were hemmed, and these actually came from America's Thrift Supply as well. Not only did they send me a micro bale of dresses, but they also sent me I think they called it like a designer denim box. It was like 5 pairs of jeans. I think that they have this box price, at least at the time when I was filming the video, they had this box priced at like $125 or something, I want to say, which means it was like $25 per pair of jeans. There's no way that the jeans that I got in that box were worth $25 a piece. I don't even think you could make $25 of profit from the majority of the jeans that were in that box from reselling. So that was kind of crazy. But this pair of Miss Me jeans were hemmed, which is another reason why it's ridiculous that this pair of jeans was in a designer denim box. But they were hemmed. They were a pair of relaxed boot cut jeans. They were embellished and bedazzled on the back. They were in a women's size 29. Those sold for $17.33 as well. That's if you include, you know, the 40% off sale and the discounted shipping. And my net profit on that was $12.54 because, again, thankfully I didn't have any money into those. If I did, I would have lost a lot of money. The next thing to sell was another 3-piece bundle, and maybe this went out to a viewer, I'm not sure, but it went out to Stacy. So Stacy, if you are watching, thank you so much. The first thing to sell in this bundle was this pair of Levi's ribcage straight ankle distressed dark wash jeans in a women's plus size 20W. These sold, we're saying, for $28.67. Again, I did offer discounted shipping on these items, and this particular pair of jeans, I did have $7.88 into. In January, I had a few students who qualified for All-State, and so while they were in rehearsal in a town about an hour and a half away from where we live, I spent a lot of my time thrifting, and this was one of the items that I found while out thrifting at a Goodwill over there. My net profit on these jeans was $13.40, again because of the 40% off sale. The next thing to sell was this pair of Talbots light wash slim ankle high-rise jeans in a women's size 18W. These I picked up at a local consignment store during one of their tag sales, so I had $5 into these. I'm saying that they sold for $13.67, and so unfortunately, once you factor in all of the fees, my cost of goods, discounted shipping, my net profit on those was only $1.28. And then the next thing to sell, man, she got a really good bundle. So the last item was this pair of new with tags, Good American, Good Legs, crop sculpting jeans in a women's plus size 20. They were high rise. Those sold for $53.67. I did have $4.60 into them. They were a great pickup from a clothes mentor in the same town that I was shopping in while my students were in rehearsal for All-State. It was my first time at a clothes mentor, and if you want to check out that haul, because I got some really great pieces during their 80% off sale. I will link that video right here, but my net profit on those jeans was $41.68. So that was a really great bundle. The next sale that we'll talk about was actually a 5-piece bundle. This bundle sold for, I want to say $90. So I sold these 5 items to actually a repeat buyer of mine named Rennie. Rennie, thank you so much. So she got these 5 items for $90 because that was the 40% off price. The first item in this bundle was this pair of new with tags, American Eagle Tom Girl light repair distressed jeans in a women's size 8. They were high rise as well. And those I am saying sold for $28. I had them originally listed at $40. I had $9.52 into them because these are jeans that I am selling for a coworker of mine. We have a consignment deal where, I list her items, and if anything sells for a $25 net profit, then she gets 50% of the profit. But if it sells for under that, then she gets 40%. And so for this particular item, my net profit would have been under that $25 mark. So she got to keep 40% of the profits, which was $9.52, and I kept $14.28, which was 60% of the profits. The next thing to sell, holy moly, I was very happy to move these on to a new home. And Rennie, I hope you love them because they're so cute, but man, have I had them for a long time. And I actually lost money on them. So it was this pair of Liu Zhou, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, woven leather stacked wooden heels in a size 39. These are so friggin' cool. They were a little beat up on the outside. They just had some like marks and scuffs and things of that nature. I don't know that there's a lot of brand recognition to this brand. And at the time when I got these, probably like 5 years ago, I think this was my very first ThredUp rescue box purchase, and I filmed an unboxing of it. I will actually link that video right here. If you want to see an oldie but a goodie, like this is an old video of mine, but like I said, maybe my very first ThredUp rescue box unboxing. I got some great shoes in that unboxing, and these I think were pretty cool and great too, but I just had never heard of the brand. When I ran comps a long time ago, there were some obscure sites that had these listed for really high. And I think that initially I listed them for really high. I was like, I've got these rare shoes. But again, like nobody really cares if they're not looking for them. And I don't think people were looking for them because I don't know if this brand is actually that popular or not. So over the course of 5 years, I have steadily dropped the price on these again and again and again. I basically sold them to Rennie for like $3. That was the 40% off price. I'm saying I had like $3.50 into them because that's probably about the amount that I paid per pair of shoes way back when, because back then the ThredUp rescue boxes were a lot cheaper than they are now. And so my net profit still is negative $4.70. Like I still lost money on this particular item. I just, after them being in my house for so long, I'm just so happy that they finally have a new home because they really are so friggin' cool. I just was not able to move them. The next thing in her bundle was this pair of Levi's classic short cuff jean shorts in a women's size 28. They did have stretch to them, and these sold for about $13. Again, with discounted shipping, I had $3.47 into them from a local consignment store's birthday sale. So my net profit on those shorts was $5.33. The next item to sell in this bundle was this Athleta pair of micro cheetah Cabo 100% linen jogger pants in a women's size 8. These had an elastic waist. These sold for $23. I had $6.63 into these from a different Goodwill, but from the same trip from while my students were in rehearsal for their all-state music conference. And so my net profit on those was $12.17. I do love a good pair of Athleta joggers. And then the final sale from this bundle was this pair of Steve Madden Inca. That was the style name. If you didn't know, on the inside of 99% of Steve Madden shoes, they do have the style name written, which is really helpful when it comes to researching comms and even finding stock photos. But these were a pair of black embroidered floral open toe ankle strap shoes in a women's size 9. Those also sold for $23. I had $5 into them from a pop-up consignment sale, and so my net profit on those was $13.80. So my net profit on that particular bundle sale ranged from like negative $4.70 to $14.28. I probably made like $40 to $50 of net profit on that entire bundle total, but I'm just happy again to move stuff out. I'm happy to be able to send some really amazing pieces to a repeat buyer and viewer. So all around, I'm very happy with that bundle sale. The next thing to sell was this Armani Collezione blue polo collared shirt in a men's size large. This actually sold on eBay. This sold for $29.99. Remember, I was running a 40% off sale on eBay, so that was the 40% off price. I had $2 into this from the Goodwill outlet in Denver when I went on vacation there last October, and so my net profit on that top was $23.84. The annoying thing about this sale is I'm pretty sure I got a slightly higher offer than that like the previous week, but I countered at something more in the middle of what I had it priced at and what they had offered. But I think it was more than the $29.99 that I ended up getting for it. And I bet that person was the person that ended up purchasing the item when they got the alert that, an item that they're watching has gone on sale, and they were probably like, that idiot. I was willing to pay even more for it than what she has it for sale at right now, and I should have just accepted. That's just an example of my greed getting in the way. The next thing to sell on eBay was a really cool piece. It was this Lululemon Lab wool blend tie-dye long sleeve shirt. It was a unisex piece, but I think I listed it as a men's piece because on Poshmark and on Mercari, I'm pretty sure you can't list things as unisex. Maybe you can on eBay. I don't remember, but I think I put it more like in the men's category. It was like a men's size medium or a women's size large, and I did put both of those things in the listing title, but when push came to shove and I had to actually pick a category and a size, for the listing, I went with men's, I think. But that sold for $23.99. Again, I was offering 40% off. I had $4.99 into it from a Goodwill in a Chicago suburb. We just kind of stopped by really quickly after my daughter's gymnastics meet, and I got some great stuff there. But my net profit on that was $16.36. And then on Poshmark, I sold this Nautica gray long belted open front bathrobe. It was like a one size fits most for men. It did have pockets and a navy trim. This sold for $18 with discounted shipping. I had $2 into it from a friend of mine who moved to the Chicago suburbs a few years ago. At this point, it's been like 2 or 3 years. He gave me a mountain of clothes, not expecting any money, but I gave him some money as a thank you for, basically giving me a ton of free inventory. And I would say it came out to about $2 a piece. And so my net profit on that bathrobe was $9.42. That one I've had listed for quite some time. I want to say it's been at least a year. On Poshmark, I also sold this pair of Levi's 501S skinny light wash cutoff button fly ankle jeans in a women's size 29 by 28. These I picked up for $5 from a garage sale from my friend who, kind of sells me all of her contemporary clothing at wholesale pricing. And so my net profit on that after discounted shipping as well was $8.82. That is a prime example of a situation where I could have probably told the buyer, okay, I'm going to go ahead and drop the price for you, and you'll see that Poshmark is offering you discounted shipping. Just make sure you're the first person to snag it when I drop that price. I could have used closet clear out on this because she and I had direct communication where she was like, hey, I'm done bundling. This is all I'm going to get. I should have gone that route. I just wasn't really thinking. And so I lost an additional $2.98 to cover a portion of that shipping. Same thing happened here. I also sold this pair of J. Crew high-rise classic straight leg jeans. They were like over-dyed pink. That was the colorway according to J. Crew in a size 29 for women. Those sold for $16 with discounted shipping. I had $2 into them from a local consignment store. And so my net profit was $7.82. She and I had direct communication. I should have just reached out and used my closet clear out method. I clearly was not thinking. So my net profit was $7.82. And those actually sold previously on eBay before, but the person who received them just didn't like how they fit on her. So she returned them. I listed them again, sold them for less, got less money. Sometimes that's the way it goes. Sometimes when you relist a listing that someone has returned to you, you'll get the same amount of money. Sometimes you'll even get more, but sometimes you get less, which is what happened here. The next sale went out to Melita, and I know that she's a viewer because she let me know on Instagram. She was like, one of those packages is mine when I posted my package picture. And it was this new with tags, cup she, black knotted scalloped, one-piece swimsuit in a women's size small. This item sold for $15 with discounted shipping. I'm saying I had $24.99 into that because I actually got it for myself and it just didn't fit well. And normally in a situation like this, especially if it's something that I've used, which this I didn't really use, but I would say that my cost of goods was nothing because we got some use out of it, right? But I actually got a message from someone on Instagram very recently. I'm going to see if I can find it and I'm going to read it to you. But she basically told me that sorry, I opened my Instagram to look for the message from her and just saw that one of my friends is pregnant. So that is exciting. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me see if I can find this super helpful message that someone sent me.
A few moments later.
Okay, I'm probably not going to be able to find it, but basically she was saying that for tax purposes, it's better if you state how much you paid originally for the item. Even if it's something that you got a lot of use out of, if you pay $24.99 for it, and even if you used it for 5 years, you should list your cost of goods as $24.99. I'm sure there's some debate in regards to using the original cost of an item if it's an item that you've used for some time. That being said, this item literally was still new with tags. I had never worn it in the water or anything like that. So I did list my cost of goods as $24.99 because that's what I paid for it. And while that's supposed to help me come tax season, it definitely hurts right now for me to say that I lost $15.97 on that sale. But that's the truth. I paid a certain amount for it. I didn't sell it for nearly as much as what I paid, and I did have to eat the fees and shipping discounts and all of those things. But I am okay with that because it's going to a beautiful soul named Melita. So Melita, I hope this looks much better on you than it did on me because I did not look good in this. The next thing to sell was a 2-piece bundle on Poshmark, and this sold to Jessica. So Jessica, if you're a viewer, thank you so much. But the first item was this new with tags Abercrombie & Fitch soft A&F collection, quarter zip pullover in a women's size small. I thought this was really cute. It was still pretty like current, so I figured, it could do well. I picked it up for $4 at a local consignment store during an 80% off sale they were having on a few racks. It sold for $24, again with discounted shipping, because I was sending everyone offers with discounted shipping once they were done bundling. And so my net profit on that item was $13.71. And then the last piece that Jessica got was this pair of Athleta stellar black crop high waist skinny pants in a size small tall. I did use the word athletic in the listing title. Those sold for $24. I had $4.77 into those from my friend who sells me pieces at wholesale cost. And so my net profit on those pants was $12.94. That was an older listing. The Abercrombie piece was definitely a newer listing, and that's just how it works out sometimes when you run these sales. Sometimes you get to move out some really, really, really old and stale pieces, but you also run the risk that, you're gonna sell through some newer pieces that you probably could have gotten good money for, but I am willing to let things go for more than I need to, especially given how sad the beginning of my month was. I just needed sales. I just needed money coming in. The next sale that we'll talk about on eBay was this pair of Old Navy built-in tough 24/7 slim jeans in a men's 30 by 30. These sold for $10.90. That was an offer that I sent out to watchers. That was already based off of the 40% off sale. So I think these were actually on sale for like 11 something. And I was like, I am willing to let them go for even less. And so I sent an even steeper offer, which they accepted. I got these in a ThredUp rescue box. I had no money into them because I had already made enough money on the box from doing an unboxing of it on Whatnot. So my net profit on that was $10.39. So that was everything that sold the first day of running these sales on Poshmark and on eBay. And you can see a lot more things sold on Poshmark. And again, I think it's because of the fact that you're able to directly message people, but also because bundling is so much easier and more a part of the culture of Poshmark than it is on eBay. You can also, it's not really called bundling, but you can also like purchase more than one item at a time on eBay, but you don't necessarily save on shipping right away. Like the seller has to do right by you and decide to send you a discount for, the overage that you paid in shipping because you purchased multiple items. Like it's just a lot more complicated. And again, it's not like I was able to alert a bunch of people who had interacted with my eBay store before about the fact that I was running a sale. Now, again, from the Instagram post or maybe like a YouTube short that I did about running the sales, someone did say, why don't you try the coupons that eBay has? It's similar in that you are sending coupons to people who have purchased from me before on eBay, and then also the coupon shows up like at the top of your store. So that part of it is very much like a regular eBay sale where you're letting everyone who visits your closet know, hey, I'm running a sale on eBay, but you're also able to target people who have purchased from you in the past. I have tried that before and have had, I want to say, zero luck with it. Like maybe I've made one sale that way. I don't know why the coupons don't work for me, but it did inspire me to try it again. I think I'll try it again this weekend. So definitely make sure that you subscribe to my channel to see if it did anything, how it does compared to, what I did in this particular weekend of sales. I'll keep you posted. I'm always down to try new things, but a coupon is maybe a little bit more in line with how you can run a sale on Poshmark. So on the 13th of April, which was Saturday, on eBay, I sold this Ralph Lauren light pink pair of capri high-rise jeans in a women's size 14. These sold for $11.99. I was still running my 40% off sale. I had $2 into these from the reseller who realized that she hated reselling clothes, and I had to pay a lot more for shipping on these than I had charged the buyer for. Usually I'm pretty good about charging close to the correct amount. I always use flat rate shipping, so I will charge like $4 for shipping on anything that's like 6 ounces or less. I'll do $5 for anything up to like 12 ounces. I'll do like $6 for anything up to like 14, 15. I don't know. In my head, I know how much I'm going to charge depending on how much something weighs. For anything that's over a pound, I usually charge the amount that it costs to ship something out in a padded flat rate envelope, which right now I think is $8.78. This one though, I only charged $7 of shipping. I don't know why. That was a mistake. And it ended up costing $8.74 to ship out. So because of all of that, because of fees, because of, my cost of goods, my net profit on that was $4.63. I sold another 2-piece bundle. This went out to Coco. So Coco, if you're watching, thank you so much. I did just continue sending the message regarding my sale on Poshmark to people who liked items for the remainder of the weekend. And it wasn't as lucrative as the very first day where I was able to send messages to 5,000 people, but I did make a couple more sales, this being one of them. So the first item to sell in this bundle was this pair of 511 Tactical Series black cargo shorts in a men's size 34. These sold for $14. I had $3.99 into them from a local Goodwill, and so my net profit on those was $5.22. And then the next thing to sell in this bundle was this pair of Skechers. They were these black appeal Z-Gore crossband stretch reggae sandals in a women's size 8.5. This is another item that actually sold on eBay but was returned to me because of fit, but it sold again on Poshmark for $19. I had $4 into them from a garage sale that I went to last summer, and so my net profit was $10.21 on that item. So for that bundle, I made a net profit of like $15.40 something cents. But the 511 Tactical Series shorts I'd had for at least a couple years. Yeah, I was just happy with any profit at this point. Another sale that I made on Poshmark was this new without tags dress forum ivory Swiss dot puff sleeve belted dress in a women's size small. That one sold for $11, which was even less than the 40% off. I got like a pretty insultingly low offer on this dress. And with the offer came a story of like, I'm a poor college girl, like please let me buy this from you at this price. I countered with something much higher. She came back with 11. And honestly, I've had this since July of 2022. So I was like, I'm just going to get rid of it. It's fine. And I had $2.52 into it from a pop-up consignment sale. I believe because it was a counter, I didn't have to pay for discounted shipping at least, which was great because I still only made a net profit of $5.53. What was annoying, and I don't normally get annoyed by this kind of stuff, but I was annoyed because she gave me like a 3-star rating, and like the reason for the rating was item description. But there is some truth to the lore that lowballers are also the most difficult customers. Like, I don't feel like I run into that too often, but I wasn't super surprised when I saw that happen here. And I don't care because no one else can see that I got a 3-star rating. That's the one nice thing about Poshmark. Like people can give you 1 star, but nobody's going to see it. Poshmark doesn't actually publish those for the public to see. So it's not really a big deal, but it's more just like, ugh, why did I sell this item to you in the first place if you're gonna kind of complain about it? So, right. And then on eBay, I sold this Torrid pink tropical print lace-up spaghetti strap tank top. That sold for $7. I had $2 into it from the reseller who hated reselling clothing, so my net profit was $3.49. In all honesty, most Torrid tops I just don't need to be listing because there isn't much profit in those. Their dresses can do really well. I also don't really feel like their jeans sell all that well, at least in my experience. Their dresses, however, I think are definitely worth the pickup. I do not actively pick up their tops anymore, but this just, showed up at my house, so I went ahead and listed it. And then on April 14th, despite the fact that my sale was still running, I think this was an item that I listed after I started my sale, and so it didn't go on sale pricing, which made me really happy because it would have sold for so little then. But it was this tea collection flutter sleeve dress in Indian Seaside Garden. That was the style name. And it was in a youth girl size 10. I don't normally pick up kids' clothes to resell just because there's not a lot of resale value in them. But this I got because Tea Collection is a pretty decent brand that a lot of people like to buy for their kids. It's kind of expensive retail, not super expensive, but people just really like it. I picked it up for $2.62. That's another reason I got it, was because it was half off and it was super cheap. And I got it at a Goodwill while my students were rehearsing for Allstate. And it sold for $19.99 within a couple days. Like I said, I listed it after I started the sale, which is why it wasn't included, with the sale. And I made a net profit of $13.68 on that. So, if I find that brand again, if it's as cute as this piece was, I'll probably pick it up just because it flipped so quickly. Generally speaking, though, I don't pick up a lot of kids items. On eBay, I also sold this lot of 2 Neutrogena Sheer Zinc Oxide Kids Mineral Sunscreen Sticks with SPF 50+. They were 1.5 ounces each. I have talked about these sunscreen sticks before. This was my last lot of them. I did some retail arbitrage at Target. I had $2.50 into each of those. They sold for $10.75, and so my net profit was $3.59. And that, my friends, is why I don't do retail arbitrage. And finally, on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Asics Gel Ventura 8 gray trail running shoes or sneakers in a women's size 9.5. Those sold for $30. I got them from the same friend of mine who sells me pieces at wholesale pricing when she has garage sales in town. So I had $5 into them and my net profit was $19. That was everything that sold for me. In the first 2 weeks of April, my battery on my camera keeps dying, even though I have it charged into my external. So I'm going to try to go through these numbers fast. But on eBay, I sold 12 items and my gross sales amount was $344.45. My cost of goods for those 12 items was $43.43. My net profit was $182.78. On Poshmark, I sold 27 items for a gross sales amount of $580. My cost of goods was $125.75, and my net profit on Poshmark after cost of goods and fees and all that stuff was $304.14. So you can clearly see something about that direct messaging on Poshmark, as annoying as it is to do and as scammy as it may come across, definitely works better for me than just running a typical sale on eBay. Running a sale on eBay helped me move through some pieces as well, but I moved through a lot more on Poshmark and I was able to make more money on Poshmark as a result. I still wish Poshmark would come out with just a way to run a regular sale the way that you can on eBay, but I'm not gonna lie, the way that I do it on Poshmark is not a bad option. So in total, I sold 39 items for a gross sales amount of $924.45. My cost of goods across both platforms was $169.18, and my net profit for those 2 weeks was $486.91. Which is not a lot. That's not super great. April has just been so ridiculously rough, and the only thing that I can think to counter that is to, keep trying to run these kinds of sales, keep listing, and just keep at it, because that's all you can do sometimes. So that is everything that sold for me in the first 2 weeks of April. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I would super duper appreciate a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.